Go ahead.
Will the HST apply on the carbon tax?
We, I guess, have a couple of really important ways of looking at the new pollution pricing. Firstly, and most importantly, we've said that all of the revenues from pollution pricing will be returned to the provinces. 90% of it will go to individuals. Our estimation is that there will be no material change in GST receipts for the federal government.
So how much will the average family pay in HST on the carbon tax itself?
To be clear, we've said that we are giving for those people in the backstop provinces, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and New Brunswick, we will be giving a climate action incentive, a rebate to families.
And I'm trying to find out where that will leave families, because there's the tax itself, which you admit will cost almost $600 for an Ontario family. Does that roughly $600 include HST on the tax?
To be clear, your numbers are incorrect. So
they're your numbers, not mine.
Those aren't my numbers. There are different numbers in each province. So in each one of the 4 backstop provinces, there are different numbers because the impact is different by province. And we've committed to giving the revenues received back to provinces. Okay. Of course, our expenditures on environmental initiatives are significantly greater than that because, of course, on top of that, we've put in place the Low Carbon Economy Fund and significant
The question was whether the HST would apply on the carbon tax. You didn't answer that. And then I asked what the average family would pay in HST on the tax, and you've still not answered that. You're talking about some unrelated government spending program. How much will the average family in, say, Ontario, spend in HST on the carbon tax? How much?
On with your previous answer there, Mr. Minister.
Your question, of course, is a hypothetical. So what we can identify is that we will be putting a price on pollution.
Is the carbon tax hypothetical now? You're not going ahead with it, or?
Pierre, Mr. Poilievre,
we will be putting a price on pollution, and the decisions by each individual family and what they're going to do with the rebate is their individual decision. Our expectation based on our modeling is that businesses, of course, which have input tax credits will not have any net increase in GST, HST. And of course, families may decide to use that money to save. They may decide to put the money that we're giving them on basic goods like groceries, which have no GST, HST. So it's a hypothetical that's, you know, impossible to answer, but on our modeling, first of all, people are going to have more money.
I asked a very simple and very short question, and now he gives you're allowing him to restate his speech from the beginning of the committee proceeding. The question was how much HST people would pay on the carbon tax. Surely your Department of Finance has the capacity to do these kinds of calculations. You've tried to convince people that they'll get as much back as they pay in, but you won't even tell us whether or not your calculations include the HST on the carbon tax itself. So I'm just asking a simple question. How much HST will the average family pay on the carbon tax? How much?
Where's yours, Minister?
As I said, in the 4 provinces in which the backstop will apply, we've taken a look at the pollution pricing in order to give a rebate back to families, which is for the overwhelming majority of families in excess of any pollution pricing. Of course,
does that include the HST on the tax?
Of course, on top of that, there will be the decision on what they will take with the rebates, which you know, could find themselves even in a better situation.
So, Mr. Chair, the reason this is important is because the government is applying a tax. It will raise the price of gas, home heating, indirectly goods like groceries, furniture, and clothing will all go up. They've admitted that. They have tables which show the cost to the average family. Now, on the carbon tax itself, people will also pay the HST. I'm simply trying to ascertain how much they will pay in HST on top of the carbon tax to see the impact on family household budgets. It's a simple question for which you must have the answer. You've been the minister now for 3 years. You have one of the most advanced finance departments in the world capable of conducting these calculations. Why not just open up and tell the truth? How much in HST will the average family pay on the carbon tax itself? What's the tax on the tax?
Peter, you're next.
We did modeling, of course, with this to assure ourselves that, in fact, we did not see any material increase in GST coming to the federal government.
Okay, thank you both. Mr. Fragascatis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Minister, for being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing. 19,000 children in the riding of London North Central, which I represent in the House of Commons, have benefited from the CCB. So that is tremendously, obviously, important in a community that has struggled economically from 2008, but is now pivoting. And that's, this very program is putting money into pockets of hardworking parents so they can go and spend, and we're seeing tremendous growth in London. The lowest unemployment rate now at under 5% in London that we've seen since 2004. Our government isn't completely responsible for that, but when people have greater purchasing power, I think it speaks volumes. I do want to